Hello, everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is The Amateur, where we're here just to talk life, politics, ideologies, hobbies, what have you. And on today's episode, we're going to be talking race. So, trigger warning there. And I'm not sure how long or short this video is going to be because it's a simple concept that is also completely stupid. But we'll go ahead and get into it. So, just to kind of start off, it's like, what is race? And I still feel like we don't really know how to appropriately answer that question. I'm going to go ahead and get into the Google definition just so we kind of understand what is the common agreement of what race is kind of supposed to be. And so it says, each of the major groupings into which humankind is considered in various theories or contexts to be divided on the basis of physical characteristics or shared ancestry. And so what I'm seeing from that, again, is there's that classifying, race is a classification of people by common physical features, as well as shared origins or ancestral origins, which that's even up to debate because, like, how far back in ancestry are we going? From my belief that we all came from one couple, so it's just like, I think there's also something that almost everybody came out of Africa. It's just like, how far are we going back with common shared ancestry, and at what point is that being stopped? But that's neither here nor there. And then just kind of understanding the word race as it pertains to the classification of humans, of people, into the different subsects. That first started in the 15th century, I believe. 15th century or the 16th century, one of those two. I think it was the 16th century, which is the 1500s. And that started with, I want to say, the Italian and French language. And then later we get into the 1700s, which was like this whole big age of enlightenment and whatnot. And I think this is where Darwin came to make his scene. But it was pretty much this age where people were getting very big into classifying and better understanding the world and all the naming of species and so on and so forth. And so you'll have two names during this time in like the 1750s. It's Carl Linnaeus, I think that's how you pronounce his name, who was a Swedish naturalist who was among the first to start defining and trying to specifically name the divisions that we're seeing. And then you also had Johann Friedrich Blumenbach. I don't know why I said it like that, but anyway, he's a German naturalist as well. It's funny because you have a German big on classifying people. That's not going to lead to later problems, huh? It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. I'm sorry. But anyway, so like those are the two big names in classifying people. And it's like one of those things where it didn't start off as something that was necessarily wrong. It's like we all have eyes. We can all see that there are differences in how we look, that there are a group of people who tend to be more melanated, who tend to have darker skin, whose hair tends to be a little bit more coarse and curly, whose nose tends to be a little bit more rounded, whose lips tend to be a little bit more full, who have larger hips, larger bums, what have you, as a way of grouping people based off those physical characteristics alone. And from that, you might be able to deduce the origins of said people to some degree of certainty. And so it's like it's kind of something where race was meant to just be a observation of what was seen, but as humans, we're too complicated and a little bit too complex for that. So I think race, if it was just physical characteristics alone, and if that's where it stopped, I think it would have been fine. However, especially in the United States of America, where slavery became racialized, as far as slavery was a global institution. It also started off, like, even the word slaves came from the Slavs, who were very much white. So it's like you can't just say oh, slavery was a black man's problem. It was never just a black man's problem. But in America, in order to justify it, because you had this whole group of Christians, and there were people who weren't Christians that also came to the States, but a large group of Christians, and like there was a whole story in freaking Exodus about how God doesn't like people being forced to do things against their will. Like that was kind of a big thing. And so anyway, you have to have these people who use this racial structure and use that in a way to say it's the causation rather than a correlation. And so now we have race being conflated with behavior and how people act, and also how they ought to be treated, which was just completely wrong and false. And now we are in the society today where we can't seem to let go. And that's not to belittle or diminish all the ill effects of everything that happened within the past, but also it's understanding that was in the past. And sure, it has its long-term effects as far as of how people were treated, but again, it was them. Like, that's just my history. It was other people's, like, living their actual real life. And so I think right now we're in a day and age where we can even separate it. But that's kind of a little bit further into the point than I was talking about. So we have this origin of race, and now when we say black and we say white, especially in America, because I don't think other places have this as heavily as we do here, and usually mainly because it's a lot of black folks, I hate to say that word, but black folks keeping it alive. And so we go into race now, and like even in its origin, it's like when you started putting race and behavior, that's where it became a social construct. Because I think race is more of a social construct than gender is. Let that sink in for a little bit. Race is more of a social construct than gender. Like, it is more egregious for someone to try to change their gender than it is for them to try and change their race, whatever that actually means. Because I think we still don't even have a common understanding of what that actually means. Is it just skin color? Is it just melanation? Because then you'll have, it's like we have these, what did they call it? Like white passing. So you'll have someone who's half black, half white, but they display the majority of the genetics from their white side of the family, and so they're black, but they're white passing, but they hang on to that blackness, whatever that means, like so strong. It's like but if just looking at you wouldn't be able to tell. So it's just kind of like, what is it, Meghan Markle's kid? Probably him growing up, like that'll be him. Whatever. But the point of the matter though is, like, I don't even know, and this isn't to like knock, or I guess maybe it does show my ignorance. I don't know. But like, what does it even mean to be black? Like, is it just the melanin? They will say it's more than that. It's the experience. But it's like, what does that even mean? And I think, they tackled some of these problems on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, where you have this pretty wealthy black family growing up in a wealthy white neighborhood in a white area, going to white school, and all the things that they have to face there. And it gets into this whole topic of generational wealth and like all this other stuff. But I don't think we as a black community, if you want to even call it that, have a firm understanding of what the heck we're even talking about. And I hate it because, like, for me growing up, like, y'all hear the way I talk. I'm from the South. I claim the South anyway. Y'all don't come after me, but I used to get picked on a lot, especially in, it was only in my predominantly black school that I went to before I went to predominantly white high school. But used to get called OREO a lot, which again is like feeding into stereotypes that have no business being a stereotype to begin with. So OREO, if you're unaware, is you're black on the outside, white on the inside. And typically it's associated because you can speak properly. I don't freaking know, things that people associated with white people or white well-off to do people, but that has nothing to do with skin color. Just it has more so to do with culture and how you're raised. And so I think, and that kind of gets me into the definition of ethnicity, as far as ethnicity being more so the culture than it is necessarily the skin color. But I don't know, y'all. This race is such a weird, dumb topic, and I feel like people, especially black, I don't even like saying the word black because I'm not black, I'm freaking brown. Funny story, so I don't know if I said this, but I had a really strong military family. So I used to grow up in Texas, where it was predominantly Hispanic, a lot of Mexicans. Then moved to Colorado, it was like predominantly white. It was like my family and one other kid was like the only black family in the entire school. And then moved to Georgia, where it was predominantly black, and we were riding the school bus. Something was said, or something about black people, whatever. And it's just like, we're not black, we're brown. It's like, what are you talking about? And like, bless her heart, I thought she was so cute. She was only like 7 or so at the time, but it's just like, I don't know, maybe we were sheltered. I don't know, but it's like, I don't even like saying black or white as categories. It's like we're acting like white isn't a color, like it's in the crayon box. And I know I'm being too literal with some of these things, but and you'll find the community and they'll be saying, oh, it goes deeper than that. Black is more than just a color. It's an experience, and it's what you experience while being the color that you are. And it's just like, sure, but we all have different experiences, so you can't just, so either it's about the melanin or it's not, and if it's not, then stop treating it like it's a category that matters. What are we going to do about race in America? That's mainly my question that I have, I guess, for the audience. I think it's stupid. I don't think it's stupid. I think that we hold on to it too much, that we care too much about how we are presented, like the skin color, and having this community and this culture is like, I don't deny that, but it's also like, I don't know. You keep saying mine. It's like I don't know. Even with slavery, like that's a horrible institution, especially as it occurred in the United States. And we're slowly moving away from it, but we're not there because one group wants to keep it alive. But that's neither here nor there. But I think even if that was like saying it's like, it's my people, it's like, no, this is our people, this is our history. Like, don't take that away either from the white folks who had nothing to do with that, who may have never even been in this country and never had a family that owned slaves. Like, that's their history as well. Like, that's all of our problem, all of our plight to share. I honestly don't really know where I was trying to go with this, other than, what is race? What does it even mean to be black? Can we determine if it's something that's like actually relevant? Not that it's not. I feel like I'm gonna get called a coon or something stupid. Anyway, there we go. So that was that was the conversation I had there. What is race? What does it mean to be black? I don't know. You tell me. I'm just an amateur. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Love to hear what you have to say in the comments. Please, somebody say something, because we got to get to the bottom of this. This is not okay. And I'll catch you in the next video.